Good afternoon, or I guess it is still morning. Good morning, everyone. My name is Ryan, and I'm a volunteer with IPAC. Before we begin, just a gentle reminder that all sessions will be recorded. So we ask that you please keep your videos and microphones off during the session. And if you do have a question, you can raise your hand using the raised hand function on Zoom or enter it into the chat box. Today, I'll be introducing Natasha Saddleback. Natasha is a member of the Samson Cree Nation in Alberta, and she is a former national and international fitness competitor, a published fitness model, and an information technology specialist of 18 years. She is dedicated to empowering youth and communities with her story of overcoming adversities. She was a minority in the fitness competition world, and she achieved a rare position for a First Nations female as an information technology specialist. She has worked with many community health programs and youth self-development programs. Today, Natasha will be speaking on Nehiyaw Fitness, including the importance of developing a fitness lifestyle and the impact it can have on First Nations people. Natasha will also discuss the processes to start to improve health in First Nations communities and will share important health tips. So whenever you're ready, Natasha.
Hello, I'd like to welcome everybody here today. It's great to be a part of this conference. There's been some really great sessions so far, and I look forward to doing this each year. It's been a pleasure to be here once again, and just to be connecting with all of you, like from across Canada. It's very heartwarming, and I said grateful and to share this information with so many people. And he said good morning, but over here it's like 10 to 2. So we're all in different time zones, but it's great for us to be connecting. And I will get started here. If you see me looking off to the sides here, I have a bit of notes here too, just to, one sec, I'm just gonna move this screen over. Yeah, okay. Okay, like in the introduction, well, thank you for the introduction as well, thank you. And yes, my name is Natasha Saddleback, First Nations Cree from Treaty 6 territory, and my Cree name is Elk Woman. Wawa skill is Squel. And because I'm originally from Alberta, but I'm connecting with you today from Toronto. So it's a 3-hour time difference here. And this is the homelands of the traditional territory of the Mississaugas of the Credit and the homeland of the Anishinaabe, Haudenosaunee, and the Wendat people. So I'm very grateful to be here visiting this territory and working with people from this territory as well. So in the presentation, I'm going to go through some of my cultural history, cultural pride, like it shows here, and then we'll get more into my actual story and into the health and fitness portion of it. So I danced since I was a little kid. That was a big part of my family and my upbringing. Traveling around to different places and sharing our powwow knowledge and the teachings of our powwow and the different dances. So I spent a lot of time, a lot of my childhood doing that, and I appreciate that all the time. And I'll go into the next slide here. I just wanted to share this little video for you. Okay. Yeah, that one I did on this past Orange Shirt Day. And I think for us, this past 2 years has been a lot for our people, with not only dealing with the pandemic situation, but the findings was also very difficult for our people right across Canada. And for me, it felt good just to get out there and dance that day. And like when I say here, it lifts our spirit, it's healing and lifts our spirit. And I really felt that day because I was feeling for people right across Canada for like during that whole time. And it was just grateful to have been able to do that. And this is, oh, I need to move this slide over, sorry. My Muslim Joe Saddleback. In 1949, he was 60 years old and hoop dancing. So my Muslim took pride in building relationships with people and teaching our culture, mostly our powwow dances. So that really shows a lot. To me, I put this on here because it represents the Indigenous people. And despite what we endured, we carry what we are taught and carry with us is the respect for all other people and life on Mother Earth. And that was passed down from my grandfather and my father and other family members. So, and then we get into a bit of my history. My mother was a child of residential school, and because of the difficult experience, she became involved in substance abuse. So when I was born, or when I was born, she was unable to care for me, gave me up for adoption. So I had other family members who raised me, which was my mother's brother and wife, who were the parents I've only ever known and am grateful for. So I grew up with no biological parents present. So I went through in my younger years with a lot of pain and anger, and it made, I made some important decisions at a young age too, when I started to stay away from alcohol and drugs, because I saw the impact it was having on people in my family and community. And that it was up to me to find a way to build a life for myself. Like if I was going to have a good life, that was going to be up to me. It's not as much as other family members and love. There's only so much they can do too. So I knew that I was going to have to find ways to move forward. So I've been a fitness competition athlete for 16 years, and I competed in provincial and national, international fitness events. I worked out. Working out was a coping mechanism for me to deal with difficult situations, like dealing with loss, community situations, and personal situations. And I later realized working out was helping me with my mental strength as well. I had become more confident, and my ability to deal with difficult situations became easier. I had the opportunity to work with top coaches, athletes, and photographers. And in 2015, I was surprised when a friend called me to congratulate me after being published in a top fitness magazine. In my professional career, I am an information technology professional. There are very few women in technology and even fewer First Nations people. So I mentioned this because there is a time when I thought there was no way I can get into technology. I had moved away from my community and my family to get technology training. I had fears of moving to Ottawa and not knowing anybody, but it was a fear I was willing to face in order to have the opportunity to do something better with my life. So I'll go back to that first portion where I mentioned that at a young age, I learned I was going to have to do things in order to move forward and get to those careers and that I was like my goals, to achieve my goals. So this is one of those things that I had to face. I spent 18 years in technology. I spent 18 years in the technology industry, and 6 years of that was as a manager. Then I'll go to, so I want to talk a little bit about this before I go into the next slide. See, in our culture, going into anything like a fitness career was very out of comfort level, especially for our people, because we are always taught to be covered. We wear long skirts to ceremonies. And so doing something like this was really out of my comfort level. And the other part, or the other portion that has to do with the fitness industry and our culture is that our people still suffer from lack of confidence. And a lot of that stems from residential schools and being told that who they are was not enough. Or who they are was not good, and not receiving the love from families because they didn't have family around. So I really noticed that early in my fitness career that there was a lot of Indigenous people that had a hard time with confidence. I'll go into next slide. So here's a couple of the pictures. This one on the right is the one that was the magazine published image, published picture. And this one was just a fitness modeling shoot. So with these type of, I'll just click on to with those type of events, it takes months of preparation, and with the training, the eating, the practicing, and definitely a lot of dedication. And I ended up doing 8 events in my career, because each time I learned something new, and I always wanted to do another one so I could carry that on to the next one and do better. I was like, well, I know I could do better. And realizing that I think at 7 out of 8 of those events, I was the only First Nations individual. In my last one, there was, I think, one other Indigenous person, but there was, and people who get into the fitness industry will, because of the extreme preparation, they'll only do one event maybe in their fitness career. And so for me to do 8 of them, it was a big learning experience. And like I said, it allowed me to build these relationships and show people in these in the fitness industry that Indigenous people are here and we can be involved in these type of events, any type of event, sports and fitness, because each of these individuals in this fitness career, they're all athletes too. They spend years and years training. So they're definitely athletes. So, okay, we'll get into this slide. Okay, incorporating fitness into your daily life. 1, it will elevate not only your physical well-being, but your emotional and mental health as well. Number 2, exercise helps you release the dopamine and serotonin. This plays an important role in your mental well-being. It is beneficial for dealing with stress and anxiety. Increase in confidence. So here I have the pressures of today's society. Especially for our younger people, social media has put so much pressure on them and how they're in their self, in the belief in themselves and how they feel about themselves, because they see so many different things on social media, and they start to question themselves. And so in part of my some of my youth programs, I touch on this, the impacts of social media with the youth. But definitely the fitness will increase confidence, maintaining personal energy. So in order to provide support and services to others, you must ensure we do what we need to keep our health, keep a healthy level of energy for ourselves. Yeah, this is very important for all people, caregivers, mothers, people who provide different services, because there is, we use so much of our energy in helping others. And a lot of times we forget about ourselves to take that time to take care of our own mental, physical well-being and mental well-being. So this is where, this is what I mean by keeping a healthy level of energy, so you can continue to be beneficial and help others in a good way. But just ensure that you're doing that for yourself first. Self-value. Are you valuing yourself enough to work on your physical and mental well-being? So this is one thing where people don't realize until it's too late, that until they start to encounter health issues. But a lot of them could be avoided by just starting to take action, and your self-value and working on your physical and mental well-being. So this is like, how much do you value yourself? You need to value yourself enough to take that time to do the work, because nobody can do it for you. It minimizes the potential of health risks. So this is very important too. Recently, with the whole pandemic situation, a lot of people with underlying health risks were affected by the pandemic situation, by the sickness. So if we start to take care of our health, that's where I said we minimize the risk of catching and the effects that these sicknesses will have on us. Does anybody have any questions? Take a little bit of a break. I could take a question or two.
I think that in our communities, one of the problems is the stigma of mental health. And I think if people feel good about themselves, and like you mentioned, the serotonin and dopamine levels and stuff from working out, I think that would really help. We should have more groups on working out like this that helps our whole body, our mental, physical, emotional, everything. And then because we still have problems with suicide and things like that. And if people and mental health, there's resistance, there's denial, and there's a stigma of it and shame of it. But if we could teach people more things like this, maybe they would feel good and they wouldn't be sitting around, feeling depressed or something, but they would be up and at them and they would be really getting healthier. Thank you.
Yeah, no, thank you for that. And that's very true. Like I mentioned earlier, we're still dealing with a lot of the past histories where the lack of the family, just the compassion and love from family that we have to relearn, and the confidence in ourselves. We still, in our communities, we're still working on that. And that's why it's, it's important. You're exactly right that we start to bring more of these types of programs to our communities. Any other questions?
If anyone has any questions, feel free to unmute yourself or put it in the chat box below. And actually, Natasha, I had a really quick question for you.
Sure.
Just listening to your presentation, it's so amazing to see how fitness has shaped your life. And I'd love to know what made you decide to start competing as a fitness model.
Well, earlier, it was a couple of things that I noticed. For me, one of the biggest things was a lot of my peers were, well, it was kind of like a lot of big impact in our communities was like alcohol and the partying type of lifestyles. And for me, I knew I had to find something else to do with my time, because I just didn't feel good about that whole type of lifestyle. So I started going to the gym, and I had the year I was 19, 20 years old when I started going into the gym regularly. And even there was only couple Indigenous males there. There was never any females working out. So that was another thing that motivated me, was being the only female. So I continued, and like I mentioned earlier, I noticed how it started to make me feel a lot better about myself, with my confidence and my own relationships, talking to people, and how I felt about myself. I was more confident. And yeah, that was one of the big things. And there was another important thing I wanted to touch on. Yeah, from there, I just kept going, and I wanted to, and the competitions, I think, came after I actually had an opportunity to go to the Arnold Classic as what you call, just as a guest, like to go watch. And this was early. So from there, I seen all the different people in the industry. Arnold Schwarzenegger, tons of different athletes. And walking around there, I was just amazed. And I was like, well, why can't our people be here and like doing this type of events? And from then, I think I really started to get more serious about it. And then I noticed other women wanting to get help. They wanted to start doing it too. So I noticed that I was starting to influence women in my community. So I was helping them. I got training. I would host lunch hour fitness classes. So where they'd come out and work out with me during lunch. And for me, that was probably the most motivating thing, because I saw I didn't even intend or notice that was happening, right? Because I was kind of doing this for myself at the time. And then I noticed, okay, well, people are starting to notice. And like my, so I started helping them at lunch hours, and then my ability to be able to help others was what really encouraged me more. And then in a couple of years, in like 3 years after working out or training steadily, is when I got into my first fitness event. And just because I wanted to learn, and like I said, I knew there wasn't very many people in fitness events. So I wanted to do that. And I knew that was going to be a way for me to encourage more and set a platform for Indigenous people.
That's amazing, Natasha. Thanks for sharing. If there are no further questions, Natasha, if you would like to continue your presentation.
Hi, Natasha.
Hi.
Carlene here. I'm just braiding my girl's hair, listening. They're gonna go to a feast, but I was just gonna say, like, even when you brought up the lunchtime fitness, like, yeah, like pandemic had put a pause on the powwow dance classes that I was doing, and it's good now that we're slowly getting back into it. But definitely, when the other gentleman there brought up mental health, I feel that like due to the pandemic, like it's so much harder even for me just to go to the gym. Like 2 months ago, I had a membership. I went like twice. So it's like, and then the home gym, you know, it's good, it's beneficial, but it's just not the same. And when you have the lunch call outs, like I feel that when it's there and you're able just to go and show up when the kids are at school, like it's so much convenient. And then it helped me like to a point where I was able to, just those little steps helped me to a point where I was able to just go on my own. So even though there's a point in our life where we were doing physical activity,
Yeah.
pandemic definitely had an effect on mental health, which especially our people, right? So thank you for sharing, and I'm listening.
Oh, thank you for being
Hi,
here,
hi.
Carlene. It's great to see you here and hear your voice. My fellow community member, she does amazing work too, teaching the Nehiyaw Fitness classes and helping others that way with more of our culture and combining fitness. So thank you so much for being here and carrying on that type of work in our community. I know it's not easy, especially when we have so many other things to deal with in society and even in our more so in our communities. So it is important to do these type of things for ourselves to continue to take care of our physical well-being and our mental well-being. So I'm grateful for you to be doing that and to be here. Okay, awesome. Oops, sorry. Let's see. Okay. Do we have any more questions? I hope you did I answer all the questions?
Yeah, there's no more questions in the chat. So
Okay. Let me try and think. Yeah, I think maybe I just want to mention a little more on what Carlene was talking about in our communities. Maybe now that things are starting to open up again, just to get those programs going again. It'll be even more important now, so more than ever, to have those type of programs running for our community people. So thank you. Okay, we'll go on to the next slide. Ways to start to improve health in Indigenous communities. So this was displaying possibility is impactful because it gives Indigenous people a way to relate and gain a sense of belief. So this was a big part of why I did what I did too. Because when people in your own community see you doing it, it shows them that they can do it. It gives them a sense of belief. And that's why this is important, especially our Indigenous peoples and people in our communities. So I'll share one story. At 14 years old, I put myself into a school in the town next to our community because I wanted to gain the same type of education as Western society. I don't, because at the time it was still difficult at our community schools. So what I did was I put myself onto the town school bus on the first day of school with my report card at 14 years old and went to put myself in the towns, Wetaskiwin. It's called Wetaskiwin. It's 10 minutes from our community. Went to the school with my report card and asked if I can, if they could take me into their school. So they were surprised to see this kid come into their school and asking. They had to call my parents and get the permission first. And even I didn't tell my parents at the time that I was doing this, because when I had asked them previously, they would say, well, next year we can try go over there. But for me, I just wanted to get into the other school. So from then on, I was in the Wetaskiwin school. And I was the first one in my family to go straight through and finish high school in the Wetaskiwin Composite High School in 1994. And right from that time on, I seen all my nieces and nephews all started graduating after me. And and that's what I mean by creating a sense of belief. And I think from them seeing that you can go outside the community or go to any school and finish. And that was important for me to finish, because just to set that precedence for my nieces and nephews, really. So they were my motivation. Okay, I'll move on to the next. Number 2, the development of the Indigenous youth by providing them with the skills and encouragement to succeed. They will take the leadership positions in Western society and in our communities. We need to guide them to be healthy and successful as they take their desired careers. Yeah, basically says it all here to continue to work with our youth, and because they're always willing to learn if you give them the opportunity. A lot of them don't get that, might not get that in their homes, because it's another one of those things where we're still dealing from past events. So if we can provide some type of programs for them to continue to help them with their skills and encourage them to succeed. Providing Indigenous peoples with programs in self-awareness and life advancement skills. So this is another important thing that we need to do to improve in our Indigenous communities. So a lot of this I've been doing virtually recently, the self-awareness programs and life advancement. Okay, number 4, empowerment at all opportunity. The reality is that we have generations of Indigenous people that did not have healthy role models present in their lives and are still dealing with trauma. So yeah, that's where at any opportunity we can, as leaders in health representatives and like any of us older ones in our community, it's important for us to empower others and our youth at all opportunity. Okay, going to the next one. So this was done a while back, some of the stats. They're still using them today, but because of the pandemic, I'm not too sure if they were updated. So 1.67 million Indigenous And this is how they're all separated. And I'm showing you this because this is how many people we need to, this is an important part of our, of Canada. Well, we're all important, it's just, and then with this, in the next 15 to 20 years, the Indigenous population is expected to double to 3.2 million. And that is, that's not far. And that's why I always find the importance in working with our youth, because they're the ones who are going to be the, one second, I need to move this slide up a bit more. Okay. Improving the health of the Indigenous people is beneficial for Canada as a whole, because they'll have the skills to contribute to their families, communities, and country. This minimizes the strain on healthcare and improves the lifestyle of future generations. Move on to the next one. Okay, here's some of my handles. They might also be shared in the, oops, sorry, shared in the chat, but I'll just keep them up here. Did we have any other questions? Actually, one thing I want to, as we move on here, there was one thing yesterday that Monique mentioned, was that our people have endured a lot. Yeah, our people have endured a lot, and those of us that are still here are the best of the best. I found that so profound because, well, it's, and uplifting and powerful, because it's true. Like, our grandparents are like, they've been through so much, but because of them, we're here and we're doing these type of things. So I just wanted to re-mention that from yesterday, because that was, I found that so empowering. Do you have anything else? There was a couple other things here too. What I wanted to share was what I learned from my fitness career, is that it's okay to be proud of who you are. Like I said, in our communities, we have a difficult time with that because we lacked a lot of that growing up. And I wanted to show our Indigenous women that it's okay to love yourself and be proud of who you are. And the other thing was, what I learned from my technology is that don't limit yourself. You are capable of more than you think. Sometimes you'll need to do things that are fearful, but it will pay off. So there's actually two things in that. Let me say it again. The first part, what I learned from my technology is that don't limit yourself. You are capable of more than you think. So this was 20 years ago. I had an elder tell me, get into technology, you'll never, you'll always have work. And at the time I was like, I don't know, never even touched a computer. And like, I never even thought of that as an option because of my lack of confidence. My mind went straight to my telling me my story of lack of confidence, right? And a couple years later, I was approached to take this program in Ottawa. and I did the IQ test, and the marks were surprising to all of us. So 2 weeks later, I was gone to Ottawa to do that computer course. So it just so happened, like, and just by those words, right? This person sees, this elder sees that I can do this, right? And just to have somebody believe in you that way was such a big thing, because sometimes you can't see it. You might not be able to see it, and if somebody else sees that in you, it's very empowering, and you don't know where it can take you. Okay. Any questions?
So if anybody has any questions, again, feel free to unmute yourself or put it in the chat.
Hey, Natasha.
Hi.
I was wondering which were the most common issues or obstacles that you had to face when you started training in a very competitive level.
I think for me, it was the fear of asking for help from others. And then I was still like a majority of my whole fitness career, I kept it to myself. Like I didn't, a lot of my family didn't know, and a lot of my community didn't know, because I was still shy about the whole thing. And I was like, well, maybe there's a time when I can share all this. So a lot of this I was doing on my own. So that was, it was difficult, but it was kind of my choice at the time because of my own fears. So later on in events, I started to, so even now, I just now recently started sharing more of my fitness career with my community and whatnot, just because it's, I don't know, I think it's a little difficult when especially when you're out of your comfort zone and doing something like this, to have your whole community know. But once they did find out, they were very supportive. And so that was a difficult thing for me to just be doing it on my own and finding the right time to share the information. And I hope that answers your question.
Yeah, and a follow-up question on that is, would you say that the same obstacles or the same difficulties applied when you started studying technology?
Technology?
Yeah, I mean, did you face the same obstacles when you started studying?
Well, the technology was a little different because for me, just because I had to be away from my family and community. And I was never away from them for that length of time, for a full, like a year. I came back maybe once during that year. But I think the biggest obstacle for me was just being away from my family with the technology portion, and the fitness one was doing it on my own. Okay.
Anybody else have
That
any
answer
other
with that.
questions or comments? And if not right now, feel free to email or message Natasha at her contact information on the screen.
Yeah, you may have questions later if you can't think of anything right now, or you want some tips or information on anything else, feel free to reach out. I'm always open to helping and connecting with others.
So thank you, Natasha, for presenting at our conference again. We've had the opportunity to work with Natasha at our previous conference hosted in Musquecheese and Edmonton. So like I said previously, this conference is really about creating those networks and really promoting the great work that's being done, throughout the Indigenous communities. And, Natasha, I would love to have you present at our upcoming conference. Next year, obviously, hopefully it will be in person, but we will still have that Zoom aspect of our conference. We can reach that wider audience. So, I believe Natasha has posted her contact information. So if anyone has any more questions, please feel free to give her a message. As a friendly reminder, all sessions will be recorded and available at a later date. So anyone who registered through Eventbrite will receive access to the videos when they are done uploaded. So thank you again, Natasha, for presenting. And I believe everyone can head back into the main room right now, and we will be heading into lunch.
Good. Well, thank you to the organizers and everybody who attended.
Okay, thank you, everyone.
Thank you.